Welcome in on this Saturday night. Michigan victorious in Indianapolis. 3 years in a row, they have won the Big Ten, and they are off to the college football playoff. We'll find out where tomorrow. I'm joined by former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli. Scar, the Wolverines win this one 26-0, and they are 13-0, and they are the Big Ten champs.
It don't get no better than this, Danny. You know, we didn't play our best game, but we did not turn the ball over. Our offense moved it enough. Our special teams, our defense created turnovers. Iowa doesn't normally do those things, beat themselves. Our defense put ourselves in good field position. Our special team, great field position. We couldn't be in a better situation, man. Columbus they're throwing knives at each other. Michigan State's fired their coach. They got a new coach, and we're 3 championships in a row. Denny, you got to remember how we felt 2 years ago at this time. We were ecstatic. We hadn't experienced this, and this is one of the greatest things about this Jim Harbaugh led team is that we won a championship 2 years ago, but we've kept the hunger, we've kept the fight. Jim's done this with 3 different offensive coordinators, 3 different centers. We pretty much had the same guards, but we've had a bunch of different tackles, 2 different quarterbacks, 2 different defensive coordinators. And, that's a heck of an accomplishment to do with all them. That we just have a system now. We got a system that offensively what we want to do. We're recruiting the right guys, system on both sides of the ball. Our program couldn't be in better shape.
Yeah, the story of the game was the defense. Michigan, we all know where Iowa's offense ranks, but the show that and Iowa's defense is really good, but Michigan's is better, and the performance they put on, and you can go up and down the roster, certainly the starters, the 2 deep on defense, but there were a few guys that stood out. Mike Sainristil, he has the hit. I would say there were 2 turning points in the game. You could go to 3 maybe if you wanted to go to Samaj Morgan's punt return, but you got Sainristil when finally Iowa. I mean, it's a 10-0 game, but Iowa gets great field position in Michigan territory, and Sainristil comes in, puts the hit on the Iowa quarterback, and Chris Jenkins ends up recovering the ball. That was huge. And then obviously when you've got Iowa coming out with their first series in the 3rd quarter, and Sainristil hits the arm. They look at it during the break. They say his arm was not going forward. They also said it was a clear fumble. I mean, a clear recovery, even though the whistle blew. That was a wild one. You feel for Iowa fans there, but, Michigan, anybody who follows football, their team has been on the bad end of, a play like that. But Michigan, it ends up coming up, but Sainristil was involved in that one because his hand was the one that hit the quarterback. So, he's the first one, Agent Zero, the captain. Just another great game, big-time playmaker. And hold on, we got go ahead, Scar.
Yeah, Denny, defense was a great job by Minner. Our players executed. We took away their best stuff. I mean, listen, their offensive line and their offensive line coaches are good. Their scheme is just so, it's just not very imaginative, and they've been able to run it on just about everybody except us in Penn State. But we took away their boot pass. That play killed us 2 years ago, and we didn't wait till halftime to make adjustment on that. We took away their inside-outside zone for the most part, and we didn't win every down against them, but we won. Our guys up front, did a good job. Kenny Grant, what an improvement we've seen from him. Benny has improved. Again, occasionally they got knocked out of there a little bit, but we got them. We got those 3. Those are the 3 core guys coming back. 78, 55, 26, all coming back. Cam Good was solid. Jenkins was outstanding. Great leadership he provided. So great. You got to start with those guys when you talk about our defense, and they were outstanding. Our edge guys all did a great job containing the quarterback. McGregor had the strip there. Stewart had a deflected pass. All those guys did some good things. Harrell, Moore, all four edge guys were sound, kept contained. And our secondary, Denny, 0, 18, and 12. With Johnson out, those are the guys. Those are the three guys that we're seeing the majority of the reps. And, 18, he's a solid kid, man. And our safeties were good. And we were in our base defense against this team more than anybody, Denny. That's where we have three inside defensive linemen and two edge guys. And we were in it more than anybody all year. And let me just say this, Denny, about our defensive philosophy and our overall program philosophy. This game is when our offense what we do on offense really, really helps our defense because of what our offense does in spring football, in fall camp. We run with tight ends. We run the physical stuff. And we play with a fullback, and Iowa does those things. So this is the game of any game we played all year where our offense helps our defense, where it's not, it's not a tough, big adjustment for us.
Archie Griffin handing over the MVP trophy to Mike Sainristil with 2 forced fumbles. And so he is the MVP of the 23 Big Ten championship game. Well-deserved. We talked about him. How about the move to put Samaj Morgan? Now, he might have been back there during the year, but statistically, he didn't field a punt all year long, and he goes back there, and Michigan goes with him right away, and it pays off as he comes up with a 87-yard punt return, one of the gigantic plays of this game. That was early going in the first quarter. That was just Michigan's second series to be able to do it. Gets them off and going, make a case. I would, and I'd be right there with them. If you said that was the biggest play of the game, Scar.
Yeah, we took the first drive down, which was a pretty good drive, and kicked the field goal. But the punt return was outstanding, and we really haven't gotten beat from anybody we played all year. I don't think in the special teams Jay Harbaugh does a great job there. And that was it was a really great job by Morgan there, because our gunners were beat, and Danny, I coached this stuff up, and sometimes you got to tell your guys, look, if you're beat, that's okay. That's why we got an athlete back there, because they still got to make a tackle in space, and our 2 gunners were beat, but Morgan made both of them miss. And then he made some other guys miss as you go through. I looked real close at that thing. He made some other guys miss. We had some other guys that were just smart and didn't clip. There's a lot of little things going on there, but it was a great individual effort by him and special teams, man. And our kicker, Denny, was outstanding.
Ooh.
Man, did we hit the gym? Again, he does his homework. We do our homework we bring in the right guy, and the kid's been solid. He finished up the game with a 50-yard kick. Our kicking game was really good. Our punt team was pretty good. We let him have a return one time, but we stuck him deep. Danny, you can say this too. I want to say this about our offense too. And people might say, well, it wasn't as good as we would have liked. But the number one thing is we secured the ball, but we never put our defense in bad. We always had good punts then. We maybe get stopped on the 40, 50-yard line, but we always stuck them deep. We never put our defense on the field in terrible field position. So that was a combination of, they
did in the normally you're right. They did most of the game in the second quarter. They did on Sainristil's first forced fumble. They, I don't know, what was that, a 27-yard punt? They got it in Michigan territory. So, that was one of the big plays in the game. But you're right on the special teams and also the offense not turning the ball over. In Iowa, as much as Michigan had a cakewalk in the beginning of the year at East Carolina, UNLV, BG, and Rutgers and everything else, but when you start looking at the end statistically, the defenses that they played, Penn State, pretty good defense. Ohio State, pretty good defense. Iowa, pretty good defense. In fact, you start looking at the numbers. I mean, these are like top 5 defenses in all the country. So they have gone against, I know a lot of people look, to me, you get to a point where, it was last week, you survive in advance. Sure, you'd like to look great in every single game. In the end, you're looking at this. I don't know how much groaning you should do with Michigan winning at 26-0, and now they likely they're going to be the 1 seed tomorrow, and I don't know if they get to play in the Rose Bowl or not against Alabama or Florida State, who won. If they get in, who knows? I know there are a lot of people. Scar, you said it back on Monday that you wanted to see Washington and Florida State, and both of those teams won. There's a chance that both of those teams will be in there. Michigan could be playing one of them. So this thing's worked out, perfectly for Michigan.
I don't see them putting Florida State in there without their quarterback, with that third string kid. I mean, it was a joke. Their best play was without the they put the running back in there. That was their best. The Wildcat was Florida State's best only touchdown. So
I agree with you, Scar. Second string, now third string quarterback. I don't know what you would say, as a Michigan man, and Bo hopping mad down State Street when his team didn't get voted in 73 after the 10-10 tie. But Florida State, they're going to be in a similar type situation. We're going to be mad at everyone. Right. We're not getting in there. But would I rather see Alabama, Texas, Washington, and Michigan without Florida State in there? Yeah, I would. That's the way I would vote it too. So,
Denny, if you asked the number one team who they would want to play, everybody in the country would be fighting to play Florida State. Everybody would be begging to play them.
Right.
So, let me just finish up with some things about our offense, Danny. First of all, Iowa's defense, the Iowa football team is the worst matchup for our offense. Okay, just like I said, the advantage, our offense helps our defense. Well, same thing with them. Okay, their offense helps their defense defend Michigan. So it's a terrible matchup for our offense, but we managed to do enough. And I think we had to throw on first down, which we did, because they're going to, Phil Parker is a really, really good coach. Iowa plays great technique. They're physical against the run. And even when we were up 10, we're still throwing. And I understood why we had to do that, man. We had to throw the ball on first down to move the ball on them. But I think Iowa knew, Denny, that we weren't going to run JJ that much. We did run him later in the game on a 3rd and 1, which was a big conversion. And then we ran him the following play too. I really didn't understand that one. But we did run Orji one time, and that's a good thing in there. He's a big, powerful kid. Denny, this was the first game without Zinter. Trente Jones does some good things. He's got good feet. He's got, he does some good things. He's got to get, he's going to be the guy now. He pulls better, I think, than Barnhart does. I think there's some things that he does better than Barnhart at the tackle position. Barnhart's now in there at guard. Did some decent things, but losing Zinter, it matters. He's good, and that's that. But our receivers, we threw the ball a lot to Kojo. Then our tight ends dropped a lot of balls today. Normally those guys don't drop the football. Both of them dropped one, but we just get so used to those guys catching everything. But that's about it on the offense.
Yeah, I think that now you're not playing until New Year's Day. So, what are we talking about? I mean, you've got about a month to rest up, and Michigan, who had been, pretty good at avoiding injuries all year long. I mean, you already mentioned Will Johnson. It was a little bit of a surprise that Drake Nugent was coming back in. He was questionable at the beginning of this game, and he went down, didn't look so good. He ended up going down. Mason Graham went down, but he came back in. So there were a few things with injuries. And JJ, I don't know if I could chalk it all up to injury. We know that he got hurt against Penn State, and then, he really didn't run against Maryland. And, he ran a little bit against Ohio State, a little bit tonight, but it didn't look like the I don't know, vintage JJ. Maybe you chalk that up to him being injured, but you get a month, to come back, and everyone with the exception of a Zinner, you're thinking that this is going to be good for Michigan with the time off, whoever they play on New Year's Day.
Danny, you think about these last 4 games. That's a tough stretch, man.
Yeah.
At Penn State, tough game. We win the game. Going to Maryland with Leah and how good he is, their senior day, and how tough that game was to win. And then we got the Buckeyes coming in. So, mentally, physically, emotionally, and this gets all back to recruiting and developing depth. You better have, your second string guys better be good, man. You better be able to put in that backup tackle in there or backup guard in there, to get it done. Yeah, we had some, Danny, defensively. Let me finish some things on defense. We had good pressure on this kid. He's not very mobile, and I thought Minter did a good job with adjusting to some of the things they wanted to do. I'll tell you, it was really surprising to see Iowa 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 against Michigan come out empty. That was surprising because they did run the ball on us at times, and it was just I was shocked to see that at times. Sandestroll. And Danny, the only time I've said it the last 3 games that Jim not being there was overrated. And today there was only one call I wondered if his presence was a factor when just the process of how that play was overturned. Where it was questioned as to him move. Because it looked like to me that it was not. Indisputable. I didn't think we were going to get that call, but
I didn't either.
I'm wondering what Jim's role, his presence on the sideline, would the other coach, if Jim wasn't there, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just wondering.
Well, I think it's a great point. I'm watching the game. I didn't think about it being a fumble. Gus and Joel Klatt, they're too busy talking about how great, Iowa is to, think about anything that might be going on. I'm just joking around with them, but they didn't see it either. It wasn't until they went over and they say, wait, Harbaugh's got something to say. So I think that's a great point. Michigan's defense, and you go all the way through there. If some of them, Iowa was 0 for 3 on 4th downs, but a couple of those, the one, I was very impressed. They had a great camera angle on that 4th and 1. Of just guys getting low and diving down and making that, I don't know, Junior Colson in there, Kenneth Grant, and Mason Graham. I mean, those guys, man, there was some heavy lifting going on.
That was one of the next things I was going to cover, and you beat me to it because, Iowa was going to rush to the line, and our guys were coached up and ready, but it all starts with those 3-4 interior guys coming off, inch high off the ball and getting penetration. And you look at that play, it's all about technique. That's 4th and 1 is all about technique and weight room, and that's how you win that. And it was won in those 2 areas, technique, in weight room. So that was a huge play on defense to get field position. Then a couple of things about our offense again. Donovan Edwards' presence, there's things that, we flare, anytime we flare him out of the backfield, and our coaches know this, we flare him out of the backfield and we throw the ball or do something away from it. He attracts a lot of attention. I saw that today. It was good to see Mullings get the football. I mean, Mullings is going to break some he's not going to make people miss too much, but he is going to knock some people over and get you the extra yard. And the second touchdown with Corum, there was nothing in there, Denny. It was blocked. It was defended, and he just found a hole and bounced it outside. So that was a great job by him. We got O'Leary in there, got some catches, but Kojo had a lot of catches. Denny, I thought our offensive coaches did a good job. There was a lot of short stuff in the flat, and our coaches found it. for what Iowa does defensively. They give you the short stuff. It's the old, Norm Parker, Phil Parker mentality, zone, give them the short stuff. So our coaches took advantage of that. And, you got to be patient against Iowa, so our coaches knew what they want to do and took advantage of it.
All right, let's go through some of the numbers, and you can take a look. How about J.J. McCarthy, Scar? I talked about him and where he might be health wise, but they end up getting it done, and now he is got a chance to heal up. And let's start with him. He ends up 22 of 30 in this game, 147 yards, no touchdowns, but bearing the lead. Also, no interceptions down there, although he, I don't know, you get lucky. One or two of those you might have looked at and said, oh, wow, that one could have been picked off. But what about McCarthy's performance today?
He's, solid. He kind of, you can see he's not as quick as normal. He looks, half a step slow, like he's got something going on somewhere, but accurate. We needed to throw the football against them. A confidence back there. So yeah, I was real happy with JJ's performance. Good enough to win. Secured the football, man. We had some penalties, Denny. Our offense had some penalties that were drive killers. We get a second and 1 or 2 or something, and Roman Wilson holds a big linebacker for no reason on a little bubble screen or something, and Trente Jones had a penalty. So we had some penalties that were real drive killers, but I thought JJ was outstanding. I think he's the best quarterback I watched them other guys. I watch the other guys in the country, and I still think our guy, with the combination of his accuracy and his ability to avoid, I think he's the best quarterback in the country. He's hobbling around, and I still think I would take him above anybody.
I think you might say a similar thing about Blake Corum. Wasn't his most gaudy performance rushing wise, 16 carries, 52 yards, but he scores 2 times again. I mean, he scores against this. What Iowa's defense only gave up 2 rushing touchdowns all year long that led the country. Corum had 2 today. He had 2 against Ohio State, 2 against Penn State. I mean, he ties the A train, Anthony Thomas, for 55 touchdowns in his Michigan career. What can you say about number 2 in the maize and blue?
Yeah, just solid, consistent. You'd love to play. I would love to play defense with that guy as my running back, because he's going to keep me on the sideline. He's going to convert 3rd downs. He's going to convert 4th downs. He secures the football. Just a team guy. Yeah, he was solid, man. And again, that one of those touchdowns, it was totally stuffed, and he just found a seam in their defense. Denny, Iowa had a lot of things going, man. And Lions in Alabama. You're right. We got the best strength coach in America, man. It was a factor in this game. You go against Iowa, but Iowa had what was their last 3-4 games? Nebraska. I don't know who they played. Minnesota, whatever. They had the extra day. All those little things matter, man. In compared to that gauntlet we finished up. And someone just mentioned healing up. The Michigan team. We need this time off, Denny. So I ain't worried about, people want to, if people are worried about, we were sluggish, this, that, or whatever today, forget it. Because it's all irrelevant, because we're going to be a whole different team. We'll be healthy, healed up. New things will be in. Then it's all about how well do you do in your bowl prep. And
it's a good thing to underscore, Scar, because during the game, people are watching this and they're like, oh, man, Michigan, they're not, JJ's not this, Michigan's offense. I saw a lot of people talking about, this is where it ends. They're not, but they're basing on it. And look, you can understand that when you're watching the team in real time. It's not where every game you come out and you'd like to build something and always get better, clean something up, and you keep playing better. And if it means like you don't look as great, that you're not going to be able to play against the other teams. I would just remind people that Alabama had like a 0.001% chance to get into the college football playoff. And, their quarterback's taking a big time sack. And then, he comes up with a Milroe miracle, 4th and 30, throws it into the end zone. They win that game. They come out and they win today. Now they're going to be in the college football playoff. I mean, what do you imagine, Alabama fans were saying during that game? Like, oh, Saban's lost it. He's out of his mind. It's time for, the 71-year-old to hang him up. This great run and everything else. And now here they are in there. So I don't know. I watched Texas today and I watched Washington last night. I think Michigan can smash both of those defenses, and I think they can stay up with them on offense. So I feel pretty good about that. I think you should feel pretty good about where Michigan's at. And look, once you get to 4 teams, whoever ends up getting in there, and I think if it's Florida State, that'd be a gift. But you're going to have to beat, if you don't want to call them great teams, very good teams. And if you're going to win a championship, what Michigan has with their, you look at the leadership and the kind of talent that they have, they'll be in any game against any of those teams, and whatever other 3 get put in there. And Washington's going to be one of them, and Alabama's going to be one of them. So I think we just have to wait around to see if it's going to be.
Danny, I would bet a whole lot of money. It's going to be Michigan 1, Washington 2, Texas 3, and we're going to open up with Alabama. And let me just say this. What I would like to see, now I faced this as a high school coach too. We get our playoffs, we get our districts, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you're the number 1 team. And because of the way it's decided, the 4th team is the last team you want to play.
Sure. Yeah.
And I always wished as a high school coach, I could pick which of those other 3 teams in my district I get. So having said that, of Washington, Texas, and Alabama, Washington has the weakest defense, in my opinion. I would want to go against Washington first of those 3 teams. Okay. That would be my first pick because I think they have the weakest defense. And we would really move the ball against them. The last team I would want to face because of their defense is Alabama, because his defense, Saban he knows that's the last guy. But listen, we can beat everybody out there.
Right.
There is no Georgia from 2 years ago out there. Ain't nothing close. Nothing close. We can win a national championship. I'm totally confident with that. My point is, if I had to pick of those 3 teams, I'd rather play Washington, but we're not going to get to pick them. We're going to open up with Alabama. And their defense is tough, and the quarterback can, the quarterback is an athletic kid. You got a whole lot of stuff. He's like defending Leah, man. He's like defending Leah. They're going to run quarterback keep and powers, and he's an athletic kid. He might make a mistake or 2, though. But that's the way I see it. Texas is rolling, man. Texas has athletes just like Alabama, and on both sides of the ball, they're good, and their quarterback is good. And but yeah, that's the way I see it. I see us opening up with Alabama now. They can't put Florida State in there. They couldn't move the ball. It was terrible. So
I agree with you. That's the way I would vote, and I think that's what they'll do. So we'll find out. What's going to happen there tomorrow. Somebody was talking about TCU and last year. Hey, everything, and you're right. I thought the experience from 2 years ago was going to help Michigan last year, and I think everybody thought Michigan was going to beat TCU. They didn't think TCU. You looked at the numbers. They're a 3-3-5 defense, and you thought Michigan would just be able to bowl them over, or be able to be a physical team, and obviously you thought also Michigan could match them offensively, and we know what happened. But now that one's out, and where Michigan's got and the guys that they have coming back, I think it helps them, going in, like that experience of being there for the last 2 years and, preparing for anything else. I'm like, yeah, sure, they could lose the semifinal. I mean, you can lose the games. I mean, they could have lost today, but I know if your opinion is, well, Michigan lost to TCU last year, so they'll probably get tripped up here. I'm not buying that one. The matchup, sure, they could lose to Alabama, but Michigan's got a great chance also to go out there They're number 1 seed. And they've got a better chance than any of the other 3 teams to win 2 games, from what I see.
Yeah.
So,
Look, we got everything you need to win a championship. Okay, we got the great defense, we got a run game, we got a kicking game, we got a quarterback, we got everything covered. Okay, and Denny, yes, we lost Zinter, but Trente Jones had a start. Barnum had a start now. Or Barnhart had a start now at right guard. So, we'll get our center healthy. All these guys are going to get healthy, and they'll have a month now to get more reps at guard and tackle. And, and we'll get a great game plan for Saban. And that Alabama team ain't nothing like that Alabama team we saw a couple years back with those great receivers running all over the place. This Alabama team ain't nothing like that. But listen, they're going to have some big stud brick defensive linemen that are going to be tough to move. And I'm talking about Alabama because, Denny, believe me, we're going to play Alabama. That's the way. They're not putting Alabama in front of Texas.
Yeah, no. And Milroe, I mean, he's really played. You got to hand it to him. Like, he's really played well these last couple of weeks. But a month ago, you're thinking maybe this guy shouldn't even be the starter at Alabama. Maybe they should bench him. But he's really caught fire. And he's played fantastic. He played fantastic today, and he didn't play great against Auburn, but he had the gigantic throw. But obviously, Alabama will be a challenge. The Penix and the wide receivers, they got one of their wide receivers back. Odunze is as good as anybody in the country. He might even be better than Harrison. And Polk is pretty. So they've got excellent wideouts. Washington, but you're talking about the defense, and at this point, Michigan's got to be, ready to go. You're not getting into the college football playoff and thinking that you're just going to be bowling over, these teams. These are going to be, fight to the death to be able to,
I don't know how they could compare Washington's victories with ours. They didn't play no one like Ohio State. That pack, there's no one in the pack.
Well, Oregon was pretty good. They beat them.
None of them play defense like Ohio State or Penn State. None of them do. Washington ain't close to playing defense like Penn State or Ohio State. They don't have the athletes like that. And neither does Oregon. They don't play defense like Penn State and Ohio State. No way. I would take that. That's why I wanted to play Washington, because they don't have, listen, they're a very well-coached football team. That guy's a damn good coach. He was with Tom Allen. It's amazing how many guys worked under Tom Allen, even though he just got fired. Have had success. But that guy at Washington is doing it. He's got a quarterback. He's a damn good coach. He does some things. And, absolutely Lions in Alabama, Michigan. There's no question, man. We just play our game. It's just like winning this championship is just like we talked about going into the Penn State game, going into the Ohio State game. Secure the football. Have a great scheme on both sides of the ball with our coaches, and players got to play great. They got to make plays, man. And program. This was a program championship, Denny, and I've covered it in the past. In all ways, shapes, and form. You don't win a championship just being okay in some areas. You got to be great in all areas. Recruiting, identifying great coaches, identifying great players, having the right strength coach. Jim had to fire a strength coach. He didn't have it right at first. How many coaches has he fired in the last 9 years? He's got the right staff now. He's got guys.
How many has he fired in the last couple of weeks? I'm just kidding.
No, I know. I don't want to beat up that. That's another thing that pissed me off is Gus. This guy wants to talk about horrible. I mean, what really? That's what you got to talk about. I don't want to give him any more talk about.
If it was a drinking game or a bingo, and you had how many times Gus was going to say sign stealing scam?
Oh, terrible! Guy's terrible. He's terrible.
It's
like someone from Ohio State and Michigan State said, "Hey, Gus, every time you bring that up, I'm sending you $1,000." I mean, terrible. How can I bring down Michigan, man? How can we, anyway, forget him. But Jim was just, like I said, we've done this now with 2 different quarterbacks, 3 different offensive coordinators. And again, you got to find a way to just keep your team pissed off, motivated, and, and continue to demand the little things, the attention to detail from all your coaches. You never get fat and happy. You never forget. Jim ain't never going to forget what it is to give up 60 to the Buckeyes. That's what makes you a great coach, is when you never forget those things. So you coach like that, like that memory is right there all the time. So anyway, recruiting is going to be big. You're going to see big name transfers coming into this mix. And now we're sitting here 3-0, our three straight championships, 13-0, 3 big rings on the finger when they come and see on a recruiting trip up to Michigan. And Jim pulls out those big old rocks. Recruiting, we got to keep capitalizing, because you see the factor recruiting is when you play 13 games and guys are all busted up, you better have some guys and some bodies to put in there, man.
Well, looking back, and I know we talk an awful lot about recruiting, but as important is being able to sift through the players in the transfer portal and then be able to get them in right down the line. And, there was a part of this season where, I don't know, Josiah Stewart was like, didn't look like he was really making that big of an impact, but man, he really came on. He was awesome today. I was thinking about that one that he went in, 2 hands up, knocked the pass down, pushed the quarterback. Michigan really, Minter, the technique, you call it, technique, and I'll go right there with you, but they don't take bad shots at, for unsportsmanlike conduct. Right. They don't hit the quarterback that way. They don't have, they don't hit the head and neck area. Man. They do a great, and it's hard to do. That is a hard thing. They don't get any of that. And they're a pretty good tackling team. So all of that, you feel real good about. I don't know, Michigan, since that, I know, go back to Gus just for a second, but when that story broke, Michigan is now 6-0. They went 3-0 without Harbaugh. They beat Ohio State and Penn State. And, now they went 3 top 20 teams along the way. Half of those games, and half of them they had to do it without Harbaugh here. So it's, they're in a great spot right now.
Yeah, Danny, we've done a great job. And that's one of the many talents the leader, the head coach has to have, is identifying the right transfers, okay? And we've done a great job with it. All those guys were good. Every one of them was productive. Josiah Stewart, he created a penalty today. They know, those big fat tackles know, if number 5 is out there. They know that. He's a great, he was a, I think he's got another year or two, Danny. So we're going to have him back, more back. I think McGregor could come back too. So I think he was a great pickup. Our tight end was a great pickup. The center, and so yeah, that's one of the many talents.
Josh Wallace.
One of the many talents. You got to be able to know who to bring, who to get, and then you got to be able to reel them in and put the right sales pitch on them when they come on a recruiting trip. So, we do a good job with all that.
Yeah, you mentioned Doman and the way that he kicked, and James Turner 4 for 4, including that 50-yarder that he potted the kicker out of Saline. That's an amazing job being able to get him in there. I thought Jalen Harrell played his best game in the maize and blue, man. He looked like he was all over the place. I loved his game. It'd be interesting to see how he grades out, what his numbers ended up being. But, man, he looked awesome out there.
Yeah, he was. All 4 of our edge guys were pretty solid against the run. You can't walk on the field in this football game as a defensive football player and just think you're going to rush the quarterback. You got to be good against the run. And he was. All 4 of those guys have been sound. And again, Minter, every single snap, I think Minter walked in on Monday and said, we're going to take away this outside zone. That's their best run play, inside outside zone. And we are going to take away the quarterback boot off of that. So that's where you start when you defend Iowa. And we took that stuff away. We took their 3 best football plays. We were not letting them run that boot pass. Every time I turn on Iowa against somebody, he's running boot pass and killing people with it. And we took it away. And many times it was our edge players in his face. Sometimes they brought the corner in his face. One time it was Harrell in his face. So a lot of people, contributed to that goose egg up there.
We had it on, but I didn't see the commissioner, Tony Bettini, handing the trophy out. And I did see some people saying he kind of snuck out during Mike Sainristil being awarded the MVP. I put this picture up a little bit earlier, but what I didn't notice, if you look, I don't know if you can you see Harbaugh's index finger? If you look a little, I thought that was actually the commissioner's tie, but that's actually Harbaugh's hand. He looks like he's gesturing towards the commissioner. What do you think he said, Scar? I mean, he's gesturing and clapping, almost like holding.
Maybe he was giving him a high five. I don't know, Jim. The Jim Harbaugh I know. Who knows?
Oh, I don't think he was saying, "Hey, thanks." What'd you have? Did you go to St. Elmo's, Tony? Tony P. I would imagine he had some nice words for him. So he'll be asked about that. We'll see what he has to say about that. He didn't take a swing at him or anything. We didn't see that, but
yeah, we just want all that stuff to end. And like I said, Gus did the best he could to talk about Harbaugh leaving, the investing. I mean, it's like he was a paid rat for the Michigan program. How can what can I possibly say to put some dirt on this 3 championship in a row football program? And Gus answered the bell for all of our enemies.
JJ's gone. He said at the one point, he's gone. He's as good as gone. So
yeah, he's whatever, man. Terrible. I'd rather not have him do our games, but that is what it is.
You know who Harbaugh handed the trophy to, the Big Ten trophy, immediately after he got it? You want to take a guess?
Sharon Moore.
He handed it to Zach Zinter.
Oh, there you go. Great.
Sounds like a pretty good idea. But that's it. I'm just looking at some of the post-game festivities there. Mike Sainristil named the MVP. All right, Scar. So
Danny, listen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't get, people want to, whatever our performance was against this Iowa team, it's just like I said, after people were a little nervous after the Maryland game. And what did old Scar say? I said, don't worry about it. That game's over and done, man. Now we're getting geared up for the Buckeyes. And we played a great football game against the Buckeyes. This game is over and done. We're hanging our 3rd trophy up there in Harbaugh's office or over there by the brown jug. And all the other stuff. We'll have 3 now sitting up there with the, the brown jug and what's the other one? The old Paul Bunyan. So this stuff is all behind us now. We'll be a totally different team. We'll be healthy. We'll be focused. And we'll be zeroed in on and all the stuff that Alabama wants to do, running their quarterback. But, Denny, my final thoughts are I'm fired up. We're fired up. We lost our big stud captain, but we have time to get these guys squared away. They got to start under their belt, and we will have a good 5-6 weeks, whatever it is, to get ready to play a great football game.
Well, it's January 1st, 24. I would say the Sugar Bowl or the Rose Bowl, and I would think if Michigan is the 1 seed, which I think they are going to be the 1 seed, they would like to play. And the granddaddy of them all, Scar. I mean, how about it? Michigan in the Rose Bowl at 4:30 on New Year's Day. I mean, that's you could draw it up a lot of different ways, but man, the Rose Bowl, we all know what it means and what a special place it has. And Scar, you actually played in the Rose Bowl, so it was New Year's Eve last year, but it's New Year's Day, just like it used to be in Michigan in the Rose Bowl. Who knows if it's going to be? And you're saying Alabama, probably what it's going to be. I don't have any reason to argue against you there. So,
I want them to have to travel. Hey, listen, my freshman year we played UCLA in Texas. Okay, we should have been the top teams in Big Ten, Pac, whatever. We ended up playing them there, beat the heck out of them. Okay, they had to travel, we had to travel. Beat them good in Houston, Texas. The following year, we went there and played them in their home stadium, the Rose Bowl. Totally different team, totally different deal. We had to travel. Anyway, I want Alabama to have to travel. I don't want them going to New Orleans. That ain't far enough. I want them going out to the West Coast. If we got to go 4 hours, let them go 3 hours, and let them have to go to Disneyland and all that other junk, to distract them. And I want them to have to do all that stuff too. So because I think those little things matter.
Yeah, well, the people, I heard that they were saying when you were a sophomore, you spent too much time out at Lowry Steakhouse out there, so that was one of the issues. But so they'll clean that up.
Best steak you ever. I told you, you go to LA, you got to go to Lowry's and get a prime rib, man. You'll never have a better prime rib than that.
That sounds good. The part about this where, and we've experienced this for the last 2 years, is that you've college football and. I heard it, Nestler, they were doing the last SEC game before, the new TV thing and everything else. So they're a little, emotional about all that. And with the college football play, and there was a lot, even, I know we've talked about Gus, but, they didn't want to, they said, oh, it's the best and worst, because Klatt was saying, yeah, we get to watch you, do college basketball now. And that's it for Michigan. You keep going. I mean, that's the part you don't want it to. You just don't want it to end. You want to wake up tomorrow and start by, and tomorrow's going to be great. To watch and see where Michigan ends up. But then you still have it every day, where the season is still going, and there's only 4 teams, and Michigan with a real chance. So it's awesome. I was going to let it just stay there when you said your final words, but then I just started talking for another 10 minutes. So. Last thing you want to say? Go ahead, Scar.
No, you're right, Danny. And recruiting is crucial at this time, though, because Danny, I'm a quick story. I remember getting ready to watch the Rose Bowl. It's about 15 minutes before kickoff. There were no cell phones back in the day, and we're all getting out. The whole family sitting there. The phone rings, and I pick up the phone. It's the recruiting coordinator from Michigan, Fritz Seifert. It's about 15 minutes before the team came on the field, kickoff. He says, hey, Jim, just want to make sure you're watching because we're thinking about you and how bad we want you, and you're going to play in this Rose Bowl here with us and blah, blah, blah. Hang up the phone with him, and 5 minutes later, I see Michigan running on the field, and I see the guy I just talked to. It has an impact on recruiting, playing in this game. We got to close deals this next couple weeks, this month. Maybe we get some good news out of Belleville, and we start closing some deals. So anyway, Danny, we're right where we want to be, man. Everything's great. Go Blue.
Talk with you on Monday.
We'll